Hello, my beautiful bookish babes and besties. Welcome back to another video of Book Blabs. And even though January is coming to a close in the next 2 weeks, I want to say we're almost 2/3 through January, maybe. I don't know. I can't do math. I'm a reader. I just wanted to say goodbye to 2024 officially by going over my top books and top reads of 2024. So, in the year of 2024, I read 135 books.
You sound insane. Do you realize that?
I know I'm insane. Please, please don't think any less of me. When I say reading's my life, I quite literally mean reading is my life. So, the way that I did this, because I'm really hard at choosing or deciding anything, so I went through my favorite book of each month. Um, and then that's what I'm going to say my top reads of 2024. So I have 12 of them for you. I also have 6 honorable mentions because, like I said, I cannot just pick 12. Hello, 135, and then only picking 12. So for the video's sake, I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. So these ones were really, really good, and I wanted to pick them, but there was just one that I liked slightly better. So here are my 2024 honorable mentions. First, we have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This book absolutely freaking wrecked me, but in the best way. Because we have a really grumpy, really cold, calculated man who dies, literally in the first chapter. And so this is him in his almost afterlife, in between, before he goes up or down, you know what I'm saying? And so seeing all the characters that he interacts with and all the growth that he has to do, and just the character development that happens and the love and friendships and relationships that form, I was sobbing. I was blubbering like a baby. Plus, there's a very cute ghost dog in it. So if you want to read it for that. But it was just a really beautiful book, and I really recommend it. The next honorable mention is One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. And this book absolutely wrecked me because it has, like Under the Whispering Door, it also has magical realism, because this is a book about a daughter grieving her mother. So her mom and her together, they had a plan to go on a trip to Italy together, but her mom got really sick and her mom passes away. So the daughter still goes on this Italian trip, but by herself, because she has to do some soul searching, because her mother was such a big presence and took up so much space in her life that she doesn't really know how to function or live or do anything without her mom there. And so there's some magical realism, because when she's in Italy, it's like a window to the past where she sees her mom when she's her age. And so it's just very freaky but very cool, and she gets to learn and grow with her younger mom, and it was a really beautiful story. Plus the description was beautiful. I wanted to go to Italy. It made me pour myself a glass of wine and enjoy it while reading, because I was just the way that Rebecca Searle describes this beautiful scenery and these delicious wines, I just had to include myself. The next honorable mention is The Lonely Hearts Book Club by Lucy Gilmore. And this book, I liked it way more than I thought I would. So, this book is about a friendship between a really grumpy old man and a people pleaser librarian. She's just trying to figure out herself. She can't really set boundaries. She doesn't know how to say no. She's a people pleaser through and through. And one day this old man gets sick and he stops coming to harass her in the library. So what this amazingly adorable librarian does is she puts together a little book club for this grumpy old man, and he's griping. He's like, no, I don't want you guys, get out, I can take care of myself. But secretly, he loves that he's not alone. And so all these people in this book club, they have loneliness in a specific way, and they're all in different parts of life. We have a recently divorced woman, and who has a rocky relationship with her teenage daughter. Then there's the people pleaser librarian. There's a man who has like a rocky relationship with his mother. Like he's always he thinks that his mother's trying to steal his spotlight or trying to one up him. Um, yeah, and it's just like then we have the grumpy old man. So it's just misunderstood people in different walks and different ages of life, and they just come together over the love of literature, and it just makes your heart feel so whole. And the relationships and friendships that bloom, I really really enjoyed that book. Um, my next honorable mention is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I listened to this as an audiobook, and I'm honestly really glad I did because I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. Like her writing, she makes every character and every person in her books feel so real. Like you can close your eyes and imagine them like walking around in a different place of a world, like a celebrity would, like the idea of them, but you don't truly know them. It's like with these books, like the ideas of these people, but you don't truly know them because you've never met them, but you believe that they exist. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I promise in my head it does. Anyways, but this is about the start of like the 60s band, Daisy Jones and the Six. And so there's toxic relationships, there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's parties, there's groupies, and it's just interviews of how the band started, how the band fell apart. There's drama, there's tension, and it's literally like a reality show of a band that blew up in the 60s. And these characters are so amazingly flawed that they just feel so real that it's like a glimpse of a different life that someone could have had or wanted to have. And it's just really, really great writing. And I think I would have been confused if I would have just read the book. So I'm really glad I listened to the audiobook because every character has a different narrator. And so getting to go jump back and forth between the different interviews was really cool to see and hear. And then my last honorable mention before we get to the real stuff is King of Greed by Anna Huang. So this is I believe, the third book in her Kings of Sin series. And let me tell you, I read this book in one night. I started it at like, I want to say 6 or 7 p.m. And I stayed up to like 2 a.m. reading it because I cannot put this freaking book down. The groveling that this man does, because this is like second chance romance almost, because I'm really bad with names. But I think this is Dominic. I forgot his last name, but it's Dominic who's like works in New York, and he's like, I don't know if he's like a newspaper company or something. He's like a big top dog of a company. And then there's Ale or Alessandra. And basically she's the one who looks like a ghost in all the previous books. Like, she looks really unhappy, she looks miserable, she looks ignored. She's like a hollow, broken, empty person, and that's because her husband doesn't give her the time of the day. Like he's all work all the time, and he's just so neglectful to her. And then in this book, finally, like it breaks. Like she breaks. She's like, that's the final straw. You know what? I'm leaving. So she takes her ring off, sets it on the mantle, and just leaves. She leaves him. And so then the second she's gone, this man is like, what have I done? And he follows her around the world. He grovels, he pines for her, and he shows up and he keeps showing up. And it's just literally, it's so cute. I love a groveling man. Yeah, I really liked that book. Highly recommend. Okay, so let's now get into the 12 books of 2024. So for January's pick, book number 1, I picked The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchison. So this book was absolutely horrifying, but in the best way. Like, this is a horrific story, and I'm really bad at being serious. Like, I'm always smiling, but like, I mean it. Like, this is a very traumatic book about like a predator and a pedophile kidnapping young women, like I want to say maybe age 16 to 18, 19, and he collects them. He tattoos butterfly wings on their back, and he puts them in his garden, and he collects them, and he does unspeakable things to them. It's very creepy, but it's told in a really respectful way. Like, obviously, go into this book with caution, but it's like, I will never forget this book. It is like it lives rent free in my brain because the storytelling is just so haunting. It's so horrifying, but it's done in a way that's not like I need to go throw up. It's not, it's not disgusting. Like, I mean, the acts of it and the idea of it is disgusting, but the writing itself is still respectful and I want to say like sophisticated enough where it gets the message across without being too gory or too horrific. Um, it's a really, really good story. It's very dark, so please go into it cautiously, but I really recommend that book. The next book I picked up for February was House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas, which is book 3 of the Crescent City series. And I don't want to spoil anything, so all I'm going to say is I knew this is going to be one of my top reads of 2024 after that twist ending in the end of book 2 of Crescent City. If you, the girls who know, and like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it was exactly what I've been waiting for, and it is exactly everything that I wanted and everything that I needed. And it was just literally, it was so amazing. I had the best time reading it. Even though it was like super thick, I was just like la 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 la, flipping through super fast because I it was just everything that I wanted. And once you get to the twist ending, like the very like last page of Crescent City 2, you will know what I'm talking about. You will know. Book 3, so March's pick was Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and surprisingly, this was my first Ali Hazelwood book. And people say that this book is not like her other writing because she normally does like women in STEM, but she used to be like a huge fan fiction reader and like wanted to be a fanfic writer. So this is her kind of tapping into those fanfic roots. So Bride is about a vampire woman getting married, marriage of convenience, to an alpha werewolf or an alpha were, and just trying to make peace between these two societies. So I ate this up. I, like I grew up watching Twilight with my mom. So like vampires, werewolves, those have a soft spot in my heart. And this book made me giddy. It made me giggle. I was kicking my feet. It wasn't anything like groundbreaking, like plot wise, but it was all vibes and I really lived for the vibes and I had the best time. I could just turn off my brain and enjoy the alpha wear and the vampire, just the tension and romance. Yeah, I really liked that one. So my next book was April's pick, and this was for I used to be in a book club at Cal State Long Beach, but sadly I graduated. um, this was Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. This is the book that we read for the book club, and this book wrecked me. It's so heartbreaking, and I feel like a lot of us read like excerpts when we were younger, just to kind of like touch on this topic. But for those of you who have no idea what Flowers for Algernon is about, it's about this man who was born with a mental disability. He's just he's different than society, and his parents treat him like a burden, and they kind of just passed him off onto um this small shopkeeper. And so he does like menial tasks for this man, like deliveries. And so it's about a study that's being done. So they were doing like surgeries and tests on um mice and rats and different animals. And so this man, I don't know why I can't remember his name. I'm horrible. I'll do research and I'll put the man's name, the main character's name, up here. But he's the first human test subject to basically do a surgery on his brain to see if they can like um, counteract his disability. And so this is just like it's told through journal entries. And it's a really sad, heartbreaking story because this character is so pure, and then he gets introduced to things that are morally ambiguous, like how far can man use science to step in. And it's like you can get into religious aspects, you know, like shouldn't we just leave what God has created alone? Why do we need to step in and act like God? And then it's also um, talking about like disabilities. Like, why does this man with a disability need to be fixed? Why is he a problem that needs to be solved? Why can't he just be accepted and loved the way that he is? Things like that. It brings up a lot of good conversation. So I highly recommend reading it, and then you can talk to me about it. But yeah, it was a really good book. My next book is another one that's kind of like no plot, all vibes. And it's Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is her only, I think so far, her only YA book. And this is about an old chess prodigy. Our main character, I forgot her name. I'm sorry. I'm not good with names, but I'm good with plots. So she is an old chess prodigy. Like when she was a kid, like she's really good at chess, but things happened with her family and she ends up quitting and she's not playing anymore. But her friend convinces her to play in this chess match for charity. And so in like the very first chapter, she gets matched up against like the top chess player in the world. I can't forget his I forget his name, but like the top chess player in the world, and she ends up beating him. And let me tell you, when this man falls and falls fast, he is obsessed with the idea of like a rematch. And so then she gets an offer to like to be sponsored to continue playing chess because you know it makes the news that she beat the number one chess player in the world. And so there's just like a very slow burn romance with them. And it's very cute, very all vibes, but it's like giddy vibes and cutesy vibes. And I just love the fluff that Ali Hazelwood adds to her writing. It makes me giggle. Um, yeah. The next book I chose was Happy Place by Emily Henry. And this one was a surprise to me because Emily Henry's writing usually isn't my favorite. But this is the only 5 stars I've ever given to Emily Henry, and that is because I felt so seen in this book. So this is a second chance romance. It's a couple that's been together for forever. They end up like having like miscommunication or something. I don't really remember, but like they're broken up. But they're going on a trip with their friends who don't know that they've broken up. So they're kind of like fake dating for the weekend. Like they're pretending they're still together. So there's a lot of tension, a lot of awkwardness happening and close proximity. Because when you've been dating for that long, like they assume you're going to share a room and things like that. But the thing that made me feel so seen with this book was our main character. She is a huge people pleaser. I can't talk. People pleaser. And she thinks that she needs to be non-problematic in order to earn love, you know? She says like if I'm less of a burden, then I'm more worthy of love and just things like that. And it made me cry. Like I felt so seen with this book because I find myself like people pleasing as well because I'm like I don't want to be a problem, I don't want to be a burden, and then maybe you will love me better, you'll love me more. I deserve love more. So it I felt like I was put on blast with this book, but in the best way. Plus, if you like second chance slash fake dating slash close proximity, it was very cute. I really liked this book. It's a great like summary read because I think it takes place during the summer. My next book was Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. This is a classic book. Um, it'll blow your heart to smithereens. Take a shotgun and just because it is about a very young boy who he works really, really hard for I want to say like 2 years to save up money for these dogs, and he gets two hounds and he falls in love with them. And this is a story about the friendship that happens between a boy and his dogs and just what a dog will do for you, you know, like a really good dog, and just how dogs have such different personalities and how dogs can just really change your life, change your heart, change your perspective. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. Um, you will cry. I cry every single time. I've read this book twice now, and I act like I've read it a million times. No, you will cry. The next one is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Myrer. I can't say her last name. But anyways, this book is another one that's like all vibes, no plot. So we have this accident prone, clumsy girl named Evie who kind of literally stumbles into the villain, which is like the big bad guy of her whole land and town and city. Um, and funny enough, she gets hired to be his assistant. And so there's this very morally gray, grumpy, stoic man and this sunshine and rainbows, ditzy, like she's still smart, but like she's very accident prone woman, and they work together. And she thinks he's very attractive and he finds himself growing a soft spot for her. And there's a frog who's sentient, but he can't talk, so he uses signs to talk to people. And his name's Kingsley. And all the characters are so funny. The vibes are there. It's very giggly, very fun, giggly book. I had a really good time reading it. The next book, this was my favorite read of the year. Like if I have to pick one book to represent all of 2024, this is the one. So if you have not read it, get your pencils ready because you are going to write this down so you can order it later or go to Barnes or Target or Walmart or wherever you shop. You are going to buy this book and you are going to read it. Okay? Okay. So my top book of 2024 was The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I absolutely loved this book. This book was so, so good. Like, I got so emotional because it's about this man and he's invisible. He works a job where everybody hates him. Nobody really sees him or wants to get to know him. He's just invisible. And he grew up with his mother telling him, like, be like a painting on the wall, like just blend in. Don't let anybody see you. Be unproblematic. Just be invisible. That's how life is easy. But he's so lonely. He's so lonely. And so he gets sent on this super secret assignment to go and kind of report on this this orphanage. And in this orphanage, his life gets turned upside down. He meets all of these kids and this man that just they change his life and they really truly bring color to his life. He learns what love is, what friendship is, what human connection is, and he learns that there's more to life than just showing up to your job. And he learns that there's more to life than just being invisible or unproblematic. Like, he learns to be you and to be you loudly and proudly. And it's so beautiful. And all of the characters are so well developed and they're so cute and they're so lovable. This book is just a truly beautiful story about human growth and human connection. Please, 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 please read this book so we can talk about it because it's truly beautiful. I love this book. Sorry, a moment of silence for how amazing that book is. All right, my next book is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I love this book. I'm not a huge I was an English major, so I read a lot of classics. I read a lot of like literature from back in the day, what we consider the classic literature. And some of it really connected with me and some of it didn't. They're all worthy of discussion, and that's why they're the classics, because they have great things to talk about woven in the lines of the literature. But this book, I honestly think anyone could read this. If you are intimidated to read a classic, I suggest picking this one up because it is dramatic, it is petty. She's, prideful and he's prejudiced. Like, he takes prejudice against the lower class, and it's just the enemies to lovers quintessential love story. And if you love enemies to lovers, this is the enemies to lovers that started it all. And I love it. It's so easy to read. There's also free audiobooks for it, everywhere. I think it's always available pretty much on Libby. I'm pretty sure there's one on YouTube as well for free. So there's no excuse. No excuse. You should read this. And then you can say, yeah, I've read a classic. I'm sophisticated like that. Flex on people. because I'm telling you, trust me, it's good. It's good. It is it reads like a classic because it is a classic. You know, it was written quite full a handful of years ago, you know, so it's not going to read like a modern book, but for its time, I think it was very progressive and very modern, and it's going to be fun for you to read. I promise. All right. November's pick, second to last pick of the year, was Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. And I thought this book was so original. I thought it was so amazing and so creepy because it's about a woman who is a recovering drug addict. So she's an unreliable narrator because we don't know if she's just going through like withdrawals or if she's going through like who knows. But she's hired to be a nanny for this little boy. Um, and they seem like the perfect, loving, wealthy family, everything. But this little boy is drawing pictures and speaking to an imaginary friend that is very dark and very disturbing. And things start to escalate, and we don't know if what's happening is the truth, or if our main character is going crazy, or if she's even a reliable narrator. It's confusing, it's creepy, it's scary, but it's so freaking good. I really liked this book. I also like loved the idea of like horror through children's pictures because I feel like children have a connection to like this spiritual world or like, you know, this darker stuff easier because they're more innocent. So like that divide between realms or whatever you want to call it could be um more transparent. And so it's just really creepy to think about. But it was really good. All right. My last book of the year, my last pick of 2024 was, drumroll please, Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Okay. Everyone in the book talk community was talking about this book, and I was like, book talk recommendations are usually very hit or miss. But there is one book talker / booktuber that I really and wholeheartedly trust her opinion. I'm going to put her channel right here. I love her, and she said this is going to be the next It book. Like she believes, like out of like ACOTAR or whatever, she thinks it's going to be the next It book. And when she said that, I was like, okay, I want to read you because it's on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm like, I'm not losing anything. Like I could just give it a try. But when I tell you this book sucked up my heart and my soul and I was fully invested, like I finished the book and the next day I went and bought a physical copy because I'm like, you are one of my new obsessions. So this book has fae in it. This book has magic in it. This book has a very tough cookie, like badass female main character, like Aelin coded. Like she is fierce. She is badass. We have a grumpy shadow daddy, kind of like, I want to say Asriel kind of vibes, you know, but Asriel's a little bit more quiet. Like this guy, he talks a little bit more, but you know, he's like shadow daddy vibes. Anyway, but he's grumpy, but he's also kind of like possessive, you know, like I don't know. It's so good. This book, it also has funny moments. It has there's a man named Carrion Swift. He was cracking me up, this character. He's so funny. Yeah, it was a really, really good book. And yeah, I really recommend you read it. Okay. So that is my top books, or those are my top books of 2024. Please leave a comment down below what your top books of 2024 or what your number one book is. Yeah, I'm curious to know. Please like this video if you liked the video. And please subscribe if you have not subscribed already. All right. I need more book bestie friends. All right. So thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys next time. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great month. And I will see you next time. Okay. Bye, guys.